Hello, I'm Lewis Kirshner, and I'm the author of the Translational Metaphor in Psychoanalysis, which will appear in the International Journal of Psychoanalysis. I use the term translation to refer to an underlying process in psychoanalytic technique that has been with us since the beginning of the field. It refers to the analyst's capacity to make interpretations using a system of decoding of the meaning of the patient's symptoms and communications. As you know, the term translation links very closely in Freud's German with the central concepts of transmission and transference. A number of factors, however, have made this set of assumptions and concepts less tenable for our psychoanalytic practice. I argue that the notion of a translational metaphor gives a misleading idea that the analyst is an expert diagnostician and interpreter who can make correct interpretations, ultimately, of what is going on in the patient's unconscious and in the meaning of their symptoms and words. There are many reasons why this metaphor has become untenable for us. In the first place, we have a multiplicity of theories at this point, with which we are all familiar and which we use at times. It is part of our circulating discourse. And yet the clash of approaches from these theories makes the concept of consensual agreement about a correct interpretation an impossible goal. We have to face the fact that we cannot agree on correct interpretation, and that this makes the interpretive role highly suspect. This whole process of a change in our attitude toward the ability to understand and interpret has its parallels in a number of fields, not only our own. I discuss this, and I support it also through discussion of the work of a number of major analysts, including Lacan, Laplanche, Arnold Modell, and many relational analysts, who all emphasize the intersubjective entanglement of analysis, the role of the analyst and what transpires, and the inability of the analyst to free himself and adequately to perform this role of the correct interpreter diagnostician that may ultimately derive from a medical assumption about psychoanalysis. Now, instead, I would argue that we must pay attention to the fact that language itself is ambiguous and slippery, that we ourselves are not masters of the situation in which we are embedded in analysis, that we are entangled in the intersubjective situation. What we can do, rather than make or attempt to make interpretations of the truth or the meaning of the patient's productions, is to expand the dialogue in which we are embedded. We can help the patient develop new forms of expression, new ways of representing his experience, new forms of figuration of his unconscious, ways of speaking about himself that change his subjective position in the world. I give a number of examples of this process. I urge analysis to begin to rethink our role as participants in this process of helping the patient develop new metaphors and creatively elaborate their thoughts around what has hitherto been unrepresented, rather than attempt to look for and interpret an underlying meaning that remains a chimeric quest. Thank you.